Eternity 2. Effortlessly, their white and gray bodies glide along the rush of wind currents, greeting my face with a welcoming kiss. It is my throne, upon which I have always sat when returning to Rhode Island, with only the seagulls for an audience and my thoughts for company. Young or old, it will forever remain my sanctuary. Beavertail Lighthouse sits over my shoulder, the last marker before the endless Atlantic and the faraway lands that lay somewhere over the horizon. Jim's eyes stray from the seabird's air dance back out to the ocean and the waves that had been building in momentum out beyond sight. Slowly, from a birth in obscurity, they rise and finally spring to life with a furious explosion onto the rocky bluffs. The spray up into the heavens is their celebration, their story. And as the water fireworks diminish into the air and back to the rocks and ocean, Jim couldn't help but think of his own life and what to do with it. He felt like he was somewhere out there in the blue, building momentum, but never arriving for his own crescendo. I took a break at 30 years old and pressed the pause button on the movie of my life as I thought it was to play out. After the film screening, I desperately needed the welcoming wind of the Atlantic to rejuvenate my soul. Creativity fuels the heart, but not the bank account. I sat for hours on the rocks of Beavertail in nearby Jamestown, trying to come to grips with what's next. While I was off playing actor, Steve and my friends were already well into the lane of life and building financial nest eggs and families. All I had to show for my efforts to this point was a bunch of rowing medals, some neat experiences, and some cool stories to share as we sat around drinking and reminiscing. Returning home this time, Jim felt like he had missed out. His parents had moved into Malcolm's pancake sanctuary, and his childhood home was now home to another family without even a proper goodbye. I have often wondered about this word, home, and its meaning. Only now am I beginning to understand that for me, home is where I hang my soul, not my hat. Back then, I suspect my mom felt the pull of the word and the history of that yellow hand-built Cape Cod house. For her, it was comfort and a chance to stay closer to the memory of her own parents. Jim felt it too, but in a nostalgic sort of way. There was a comfort that permeated the air, the streets, the ocean. It all felt nice and known, as if life here would be simple. What more could one ask for, he would think to himself. With that, the internal chatter began. Jim would conjure up stories to himself that life would be more manageable in Rhode Island as opposed to Manhattan or anywhere. For 1 month, he toyed with those stories while trying to come to some conclusion. It was in the middle of Malcolm's backyard while basking in the glorious September sun that some clarity broke. He sat propped up against the once sturdy clothesline pole, which now had grown weary and old, like much of the surroundings. The pristine yellow paint had begun to fade in a losing battle with the sun. A toppled over bird bath lay strewn across a once flourishing flower garden, now nothing more than an ancient ruin fallen under the weight of time. He wondered if he would become stale and old like his surroundings should he stay. As he sat there alone, he closed his eyes and tried to sense if Malcolm was with him. He longed for his voice and his humor to guide him on what to do next. "What do I do?" Jim softly whispered, hoping the ghost of Malcolm would appear and deliberate, scotch in hand. Silence. For 20 minutes, Jim sat engulfed in the solitude of blue sky, rays of sun, and memories. His mind drifted back to the street corner in New York City when Dream Theater was in his headphones and he was willing to let the universe take the lead. Surrender slowly overtook him, and he let his body slide off the pole to the comfort of the grass. The silence filled his soul, and he waited, peacefully waited for the dance partner to grab his hand. At the end of that 20-minute slice of silent heaven, his cell phone sprung to life. It was time to do the tango.